A few months ago, I had a video go majorly viral on TikTok. When I posted it, I never expected it would blow up just like the way it did. In just a few days, it had over 1 million views. Now, a few months later, it's currently sitting at 6.5 million with over 118,000 saves. And I'm still getting questions about it almost every single day. It's actually up to 1,700 comments right now. So why didn't I expect this video to go viral? Well, I'm not even talking in the video for once. It's just a simple video of me doing something I do every single Sunday night as part of my weekly meal prep. And I still do this every week. I've never found an easier or faster way to make breakfast for an entire week. As a new dad, this is really important for me because I don't have a whole lot of time to cook in the mornings. So quick, delicious, and high protein is always my goal. So what is this breakfast that I make every single week in less than 10 minutes? Keep watching and I'll show you exactly what it is, but also exactly how you can make it. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andres and I'm a registered dietitian who works with busy parents, professionals, and business owners to help them transform their nutrition habits and reach their weight loss goals. My goal with this channel is to make healthy eating as simple and convenient as possible with practical strategies and tips that you can start adding to your life right away. When it comes to changing your nutrition habits, having a healthy breakfast to start the day is one of the most important ways that you can set yourself on the right track. I'm really busy in the mornings. I've got a 7-month-old, so a while ago I came up with a process that lets me prep all my breakfast for the week in just 10 minutes on the weekend. Now, around that time, I posted this video on TikTok of me going through the process and it went massively viral. Then I posted a similar video on Instagram and it's one of the most viewed videos in the past 3 months. So I wanted to make a longer video here on YouTube going through the process step by step, teaching you also how to modify this breakfast to fit your goals and answering all the common questions I'll be getting about it. Now, before we get into it, I want to start by giving you the simple 3-step formula that I personally use for building a healthy breakfast. If you include these 3 key components, I call it the rule of 3, for every breakfast, you're going to end up with a healthy meal to support your fat loss goals every time. But even if your goal is not to lose weight or to lose fat, for optimal health, it's still the same. So step 1 is add a source of protein. A great breakfast for fat loss or not fat loss always includes a source of protein. I recommend getting around 30 grams or more of protein at breakfast, which actually brings me to one of the most common breakfast mistakes people make, and that is having just 2 eggs, for example, and thinking they're having a high protein breakfast. But what many people don't realize is that 1 egg only has about 6 grams of protein. So your typical 2-egg breakfast often won't have the best amount of protein to reach your goals with only 12 grams total. Eggs are a good option, but I recommend adding in maybe some egg whites to bump up the protein content, or other ways to increase protein at breakfast maybe include things like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, deli turkey, maybe mixing in a ready-to-drink protein shake with your coffee instead of milk. I've been seeing that on TikTok all the time. Adding a scoop of protein powder to your oatmeal or yogurt, or maybe making some protein pancakes. Step 2 is adding a higher fiber carb source. I recommend adding a higher fiber carb source to your breakfast, so maybe a piece of whole grain bread, maybe oats, roasted sweet potatoes, a whole wheat tortilla, maybe adding some black beans with your taco seasoning, maybe to a breakfast burrito. Now, what I found is a lot of my clients, when they're really intentional about adding carbohydrates to their breakfast, they don't feel like they're craving carbs all day. This is mostly because carbohydrates are a source of energy, not a source of weight gain. If you learn to choose higher fiber carbohydrate sources, most of the time you will be feeling fuller and more energized throughout the day. One of the comments that I got from this recipe I made that went viral was that the amount of carbs was excessive. Now, my answer was always, according to who? Step 3 is adding a source of color. What is a source of color? Well, that means fruits or vegetables. Many people don't feel like adding veggies to breakfast, so it's totally okay to go maybe with some fruit. Berries are a great fiber option that I personally like to add, and you can use frozen berries to make it easier. Now, if you want to add in some veggies, a couple options that you can try are having maybe chopped peppers or mushrooms in an omelet or scrambled eggs, or you can maybe cut some slices of bell pepper and spread it out with a little bit of cream cheese on them and maybe top them with everything bagel seasoning for a quick veggie side dish at breakfast that actually tastes great. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to walk you through my breakfast meal prep process and show you how you can have all your breakfasts ready to go for the entire week in just 10 minutes. Let's get into my viral overnight oats recipe. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be putting the process on one side of the screen and walking you through it with some pauses to maybe talk specifics and answer some common questions. Ready to do this? Let's get into it. So step one, you're going to be getting out 5 glass jars. The ones I use, you can get on Amazon, and I'm gonna put the link of them in the description box. I'm using just 5 here because I only prep my breakfast for weekdays, and then I usually have some more time on the weekend, so then this is when I'm gonna make things like eggs or my typical Venezuelan breakfast foods. So to start, you're going to add half a cup of rolled oats to each of your jars. Now, I get questions about oats all the time because I've been seeing this huge trend right now, people without any scientific evidence claiming that oats are bad for you or bad for your digestion. This is honestly complete and utter nonsense, and it's disappointing that these self-proclaimed health gurus are creating so much fear around a very healthy and inexpensive breakfast option. And most of the time, these people are just trying to do this to create controversy, grow their audience, and sell their supplements. So just to give you a brief overview of the research here, one systematic review, which is a big study that looks at the results of a bunch of studies all together, found that oats intake was actually associated with an increase in beneficial gut bacteria. Oats also contain a type of soluble fiber called beta-glucan, which has proven effects on lowering cholesterol and promoting blood sugar regulation. And on top of that, oats also have a huge number of healthy plant compounds that can reduce the risk of heart disease and cancer. So in my mind, there's no doubt that oats are something that you want to be including in your diet for overall health. Next up, you're going to add 1 scoop of protein powder to each jar. I personally like to use whey protein, and I'm a big fan of both Shifted and Legion, which are a couple brands that I have used. Now, I'm going to drop the links to both of those brands in the description box so you can get those as well. Now, you can also choose to use plant-based protein powders if you prefer it. And for that, I recommend something like Vega Sport, but you'll have to increase the amount of milk you use in this recipe with plant-based protein powders because they absorb a lot more liquid and you don't want that to be too dry. Now, this is one of my personal preferences for me, and that's adding 1 tablespoon of mini chocolate chips or dark chocolate chips. I know it might seem strange for a dietitian to be having chocolate for breakfast, but there's actually an important reason I personally do this. When I add foods that I love, I like chocolate, to every single one of my meals, or at least some meals that I include regularly, I find that I don't crave them as much throughout the day. Now, of course, chocolate isn't the most nutrient-dense option, but there's no problem with including it if it's something that you would enjoy. When I add it to my breakfast, it gives me some energy because obviously there's a little bit of sugar in there that I'm going to be using throughout the day. And I'm also going to be pairing that up with a ton of protein and fiber in this meal, which helps keep my blood sugar balanced and prevents an energy crash. Next, I add a tablespoon of powdered peanut butter because I love the chocolate peanut butter combination. I use powdered peanut butter here because it gives you the peanut butter flavor, but it's lower in fat and calories compared to regular peanut butter. You can really use any brand here. The one that I use is just from Walmart. PV Fit and PV2 are other options that you can use. The next ingredient that I always like to add into my overnight oats is a tablespoon of chia seeds. Chia seeds are a great source of fiber, which takes longer to digest, so it'll make you feel fuller for longer. This is especially important for managing hunger if your goal is weight loss, but fiber is also great for your overall health, including heart health and your digestive system. You can alternatively use other types of seeds like hemp or sunflower seeds as well. After you add the chia seeds, you can add some optional ingredients. I personally like to add mixed nuts, and maybe sometimes I also add shredded coconut, which is an optional thing too. These are some of like the last ingredients that are just my personal preferences. Okay, so after I add all my dry ingredients, I mix all that up really well. You can stop right here, and then you can add your milk the night before you're going to eat each jar. Now, for me, I find that these things keep really well in the fridge, even with the milk added. But what I recommend most people do is maybe add the milk to the first 3 on the weekend and maybe add it to the other 2 jars maybe in the middle of the week. So here you can see I'm adding 3/4 of a cup of milk, and you can use whatever kind of milk you like. If your goal is cutting calories, almond milk, it's lower in calories and also works well. So then when I add the liquids, I put all the lids on, I shake them up. Now, if you want at this point, you can literally just put them right into the fridge and add some of the berries in the morning before you eat them. But what I typically do is I'll take off the lids after I shake them up, I add the berries, and then I put the lids back on before I store them. Recently, what I started doing is I added the liquid and the fruit all together to avoid the opening and closing and removing steps, and honestly, that worked out really well. I personally buy frozen berries because A, they're lower cost, and B, they're easier to store and do not go bad if kept in the freezer. And there you have it. That's literally how I make breakfast for an entire week in under 10 minutes. As I mentioned, I have this every single week and I never get bored because you can totally kind of switch it up if you want to. You can use different flavors of protein powder. You can use different types of fruit because it gives you a ton of different varieties. Now let's talk about the nutritional breakdown of these. With all the ingredients that I added in the video, except for the mixed nuts and using skim milk, this recipe has about 42 grams of protein, 67 grams of carbs, and 17 grams of fat for a total of 580 calories. And then it's also have about 14 grams of fiber. So overall, it's a very balanced meal. Now, but keep in mind that these macros are what fit my personal needs, and everyone has different calorie macronutrient requirements. If you want to learn how to calculate your own macro goals for fat loss, I actually have another video that walks you through that exact process. So I'll link it in the description box so you can go and watch it. Now, once you know what your macro and calorie goals are, this recipe can easily be adjusted based on those goals. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I received a ton of questions about modifications. So hopefully the next section will address some of those questions that you may be having as well. If you want this breakfast to be a lower calorie option, you can leave out both the shredded coconut and the mixed nuts. You can also choose to use almond milk instead of skim milk, and this will cut your protein down a little bit, but not by much. Now, another milk alternative that I often recommend is using something like an ultra filtered milk, which is a type of dairy milk that is processed in a way that increases the protein content. Now, you can also cut the chocolate chips out or reduce it to half a tablespoon rather than a full tablespoon, and you can also cut the amount of chia seeds in half as well. If you make those changes, including using unsweetened almond milk, the new macros are going to be about 35 grams of protein, 10 grams of fat, and 49 grams of carbs for a total of 422 calories. For even lower carbs, you can drop the oats to a third of a cup instead of half a cup, which is what my wife does, but also making sure that you're also reducing the liquid amount. And this is probably going to get that recipe under 390 or so. On the other hand, if you're working on a weight gain goal, there are also a couple changes that you can be making. Now, the first one is using whole milk instead of skim or almond milk. And instead of powdered peanut butter, you can use regular peanut butter. You basically can increase the amount of any of these ingredients. So that's really the beauty of this recipe, that you can modify the quantities and basically any ingredient and simply adjust the amount of milk to really get the consistency you want. That brings us to the end of today's video. Before we finish off for today, I want to tell you about something pretty cool I created for you. If you're looking for more recipes just like this one that are simple to make and can be prepped easily, I created a free cookbook with my wife with 50 quick and easy dietitian approved meals that you can download completely for free. The goal of this cookbook is to give busy parents and professionals the tools they need to take their health off of the back burner, improve their energy levels, and lose the excess weight while eating foods that they actually enjoy. So if you want to get instant access to this cookbook, all you have to do is go and click the link in the description box, put in your email, and I will send it over to you for free. I really hope you give this overnight oats recipe a try. That has been a game changer for me in the mornings. If you have any questions about it, or it's something that maybe I haven't covered in this video, just drop a comment below and I will be happy to answer them for you. And also, if you're a parent or a professional and you're looking to improve your nutrition for you and your family, make sure you hit subscribe, because I literally come out with a new video every single Tuesday to help you reach those goals. Hopefully you found this helpful. I'll see you in next week's video. Bye for now. Take care and enjoy.